They look at you like you have three eyes because, when you get into a serious conversation with people you meet, they look at you if you have, as if you have three eyes because you don't prescribe to the philosophy that ignorance is bliss. That you're all, oh, you want to talk about serious stuff and you know more than me, so they're offended because they're ignorant, so they won't even discuss the matter with you. Big problem with friends and yes men. I mean, big difference there. A yes man is a sycophant. A friend will tell you the score. Walking along a path, and your friend knows that there's a pit coming up ahead. What's he going to tell you? Okay, he's going to tell you there's a pit so you don't fall in it. He's not going to say, oh, well, he'll think that I'm calling him ignorant, right? Because ignorant, that's a pejorative, right? But really all it means is not knowing. So what do? You're supposed to inform somebody. You're not supposed to consider it, oh, it's a trade secret, and this is where I get my power, and this is what rules my heart and mind. Is I just want to be a yes man. I want everyone to like me, and this is how I do it. I just treat everybody like they're all knowledgeable, and they know that there's that pit. And if he falls in it, then I'll just say, well, you should have known. Why were you ignorant? Later, after it's too late. You see, I'm a watchman on the wall, and we should all be watchmen on the wall. Otherwise, their blood is on your hand. If you say, I knew that person was ignorant, I didn't do anything, I let them find out for themselves through the school of hard knocks, but really it costs them their very soul that ends up in hell, and then you're answering to your owner, your creator, for not being a watchman on the wall and warning them. Do you understand the serious nature of what I'm trying to convey to people? It's super serious. I mean, I don't know what could get more serious than, where we're going from here. Locally here in Butte County, California, a former Vietnam vet, and we all know those guys have terrible PTSD. They're really struggle, a lot of those guys. I mean, he used to like to brandish his gun. He was jailed a couple of times for this sort of thing, but he probably, from all the accounts, looked like he committed suicide by cop. It's really very sad. That's it for the current events. Now on to some thoughts from the past week. Finish up those and try to get on to some new ones from this last week here. If one is a racist, America is the last country on earth you'll want to live. True. Because for all intents and purposes, it's illegal to be a racist in America. Okay, discrimination based on race is illegal. And all you people that think you're so tolerant and that you just want to, you want to get the intolerant people that don't tolerate you. They don't tolerate your violence, your paid provocateurism. They don't want to tolerate that and shoving your philosophies down their throats that they're intolerant. They don't like that. So you want to cram yours down their throats. Just remember, okay, it's a two-way street. It's a double-edged sword. And if you start getting intolerant and you start being intolerant of other people's free speech and art and all this and history, okay, it's going to come back to bite you in the behind, I guarantee. Okay, and I'm not the I told you so kind of guy, but remember, this pendulum swings both ways, okay? And you're going to get yours. As you sow, so you reap. Perfect laws. These are universal, immutable, universal laws. Problem: a high cost of living / taxes and low currency worth. Solution: low cost of living and high currency worth. It's the way it works. Simple mathematic precepts. And it's fiscally conservative, it's fiscally prudent, and I'm probably about as liberal a guy, really, as in the truest sense of the word, that you'll ever meet. Sorry to say, but the state of affairs for humanity at large in the 21st century is basically that of a sad, sorry, pathetic bunch of small-minded, cucked, brutish piss ants. It's perfectly okay to occasionally be mad at yourself, but understand this much. It may only be you that's angry. What created the enmity within your own members may neither bug God nor man. It's merely what you needed to experience for your own personal growth. That's right. Sometimes we inflict pain on ourselves and we hate ourselves later, but it's something we had to go through. To be quite honest, I see very little difference between myself and a multi-billionaire. This is in fact true according to Jesus. Both rich and poor fear regarding monetary issues. That's the way it is. That's the way and that's the way it'll be until we straighten things out at the hand of God. It's going to be God's will being established on earth that finally fixes things for humanity. When we finally get it, we got to put the money masters of misery in their place. Okay, but at the hands of God. Okay, because it's not it's not man imposing his rules on each other, because we're sorely screwed up. We're inept, unable, incapable. We don't have the wherewithal to do that, to condemn and judge other people. It can only be done at the hands of God through allowing humanity to do it, and in his way, in the spirit that God intended. That's the only way we're going to put anybody in their place. I've never met a euphemism that couldn't be turned, twisted, and reduced and rendered a pejorative. And I've never seen or heard of anything good that couldn't be turned bad, except for the faithfulness of God. Is the reverse also true? Jesus asked, I'll be faithful to do what I said. I'm going to return, and I'm going to sanctify the earth. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to be faithful and true, but will I find faith on the earth? We need to ask ourselves that. Like the yeast in the dough, the leaven in the dough, mixing through us. You can easily mix in bad and just become all bad, or you could decide, no, I'm mixing in only good. I'm going to become only good. I'm going to become more and more like God, slower to anger and quicker to forgive. Often I wonder, do non-believers in God, that is, actually understand the implications of living a life void of acknowledgement that they too will one day give account to their owner for how they have chosen to live their lives, exactly why they thought, said, and did what they did. We will also give account for things we fail to think, say, and do, things we ought to have thought, said, and did. It is unequivocally imperative that people fundamentally understand the root causes for social, political, and economic discontent. It's because they are being artificially created to keep humanity enslaved through fraud and the money masters of misery. At the hands of the money masters of misery, I should say. Let me be extremely clear. The absolute, unequivocal best method to create an element of rabid, unreasoning communists in the vein of totalitarian fascists is by way of unfair, crony, pseudo, uncapitalist, anti-capitalistic, evil, perverse capitalism. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, all you devout capitalists. Just remember what happened here, okay? It was by design. It was engineered. It was manufactured. It was invented at the hands of the grand puppeteers, the money masters of misery. Whenever one is willing and wanting to discuss the serious political, social, and economic matters of our day, they shouldn't be surprised when people look at them as if they have three eyes simply because they don't agree. They don't, as they do, prescribe to an ignorance is bliss philosophy. I talked about that earlier. We will only understand the deeper issues with humanity and with ourselves when we as individuals are willing to lift our fair share of weight in carrying the cross of mercy, grace, and peace for all humanity. The most desirable, subservient, pliable slave is one that is oblivious to their bondage. A lot of those people out there. One need not agree with all those they are compelled to carry a cross for. We've got to just assume people are going to figure it out. They're going to come out of darkness. And then we help them. Sometimes I wonder how many employers are archaically titled masters really consider their employees their servants slash servants' point of view. For example, do they understand they are like a god to their subjects? Do they understand just how important they are to the overall welfare of their workers? Employers, masters, you should all think about that. It's a very serious position you're in. I had an